from Seattle. So Shreya has just dropped us at the very famous Space Needle. Ashish has gone to buy the tickets. But there is rain forecast today, and the only thing I'm worried about is we get to see something from the top because it's cloudy right now. But the weather of the city is almost always like this, so that is not going to stop us from exploring the city. Let's hope for the best.
The space flying saucer shaped landmark is one of the most iconic structures of Seattle. Originally constructed to be part of the 1962 World's Fair, it's a futuristic observation tower and the most prominent building in the Seattle skyline. A 42-second glass elevator ride took us to the observation deck 520 feet above the ground. And what we got on the top were the epic 360-degree views of the city. The scariest part, however, was these 11-foot tall tilting glass walls wrapping all the way around the observation deck that provide the illusion of floating in open air. And these glass benches around the perimeter follow the angle of the transparent walls, making a jaw-dropping backdrop for selfies. A striking grand staircase leads down to Loop, the world's first revolving glass floor. And it was so much fun taking these time-lapse shots. The base of the Space Needle also has this pretty gift shop and some fun virtual reality games. Another attraction of the Seattle Center, located just next to the Space Needle, is Chihuly Garden and Glass. This place celebrates Dale Chihuly, a glass sculptor whose massive blown glass installations can be seen in various museums around the world. This long-term exhibition, opened since 2012, features a large portion of Chihuly's work and includes these impossibly shaped and brilliantly colored glass sculptures. The sheer scope of the glasswork at this place is something you'll gawk at, and the colorful displays will give you something to talk about for days. Besides the galleries, it also has this lush garden where plants and glass pieces tangle in a blaze of colors. And this artistic collections cafe with some amazing dishes on the menu. The 74-acre campus of Seattle Center also includes a variety of other entities like the Museum of Pop Culture, also known as MoPop, the terminus for the monorail, and this gift shop. Now it was time to soak up some history, and we headed to Seattle's oldest neighborhood, Pioneer Square. It boasts some incredible architecture, art galleries and cafes. And one of the must-do unusual activities this place is known for is the Bill Speedle's Underground Tour. On June 6, 1889, a cabinet maker accidentally ignited a glue pot, and the resulting Great Seattle Fire wiped out 31 blocks. And this 75-minute guided walk took us down beneath Pioneer Square and through the maze of buried alleys and storefronts that were once Seattle's surface streets. I could also recognize these purple stones from down below that we saw on the streets earlier. a great crash course on Seattle history. I found exploring this forgotten city very fascinating. It ended in Rogue's Gallery and Gift Shop, displaying some preserved pieces and old pictures. And this is Sons of Prophets, the book by Bill Spiedel, who founded this tour and helped to preserve and restore Seattle's original city center in the 1960s. We also got to see the 148-meter high Smith Tower, which was the city's first skyscraper and the tallest building in Seattle before the Space Needle. Just took a little stroll along the streets of downtown before heading for dinner to a nice Indian restaurant and a movie.
Good morning, it's our day 2 in Seattle and it's a beautiful sunny day. It's very unlikely in Seattle that it's not raining and the sky is so blue. And today our first stop is at Kerry Park. Now Kerry Park is a very small park, but the view from here is outstanding. All the postcard and wallpaper pictures that you see of the city are mostly shot from this particular point. It's a very small park, but it's still crowded in the morning because so many people have come to see the skyline. The view is so beautiful. We can see the Space Needle and the entire downtown skyline in the background. So yes, it's amazing, and the best part is the weather.
Located on a south-facing terrace of the Queen Anne Hill, Kerry Park offers the ultimate view of so many things that people associate with the city. The center of the park has this 15-foot tall sculpture called Changing Form, and its giant cutouts make for some great pictures. Also walked around a little to check out some other parks nearby and the beautiful homes this neighborhood is known for. Next on our list was one of the most popular tourist spots in Seattle, the Pike Place Market. Cascading down a steep hill to the waterfront is this 9-acre historic district, and it's one of the oldest continuously operating farmers market in the United States. With large number of stands for seasonal produce, fresh flowers, a crafts market with hundreds of traders, and an absurd amount of places to eat, there is so much you can do in Pike's Place. And one not to be missed activity here is to visit the world's first Starbucks coffee shop. We could easily spot it by these long waiting lines and soon joined the crowd.
And we have come to see the first Starbucks, and we are standing in a long line just for a cup of coffee.
Opened in 1971 and more commonly known as Original Starbucks, this store has stayed with their original colors and appearance to pay homage to their humble beginnings, like this mermaid sign in brown instead of green. They even display the brass labels that were on their bulk coffee bins in 1971, still use the vintage manual espresso machines to make coffee, and it's only here that you can buy these first Starbucks mugs. This store is truly one of a kind, and now I can say that people come here not just for coffee, they come to experience the place where it all began. Pike Place Market also has a feast of restaurants in Post Alley. And so many people line up for this famous eatery, Pike Place Chowder. This place has been winning awards for so many years, and it's mostly known for its clam and other seafood chowders. We, however, ordered the lime and coconut one, the only veg option. The rich, chunky and velvety soup was served in a bread bowl and tasted amazing. No wonder this place was so crowded. Another most visited area in Pike Place Market is the famous gum wall, which I kind of found gross. People have been sticking their unwanted chewing gums to a wall outside Market Theatre since 1990. It was started by theatre goers to get rid of their gums while waiting in line, Today, it's a 50 feet wall covered in brightly colored gums and is considered to be the second germiest tourist attraction in the world. Plus, I didn't like the way it smelled. Moving on, we descended some stairs to reach the Seattle waterfront area. Overlooking the Elliott Bay, it's home to the waterfront park lined with lamps, railings and benches to sit and enjoy the view. It is also home to a large number of fancy restaurants, cafes and various recreational attractions including Seattle Aquarium, Miners Landing, which is a family-friendly arcade having games, restaurants, a state-of-the-art flying theatre called Wings Over Washington, and the 175 feet high Great Wheel. We also came across Ye Olde Curiosity Shop, which was quite unique. First opened on the waterfront in 1889, this store is part museum and part novelty shop. The walls and ceilings are covered with strange curiosities of all kinds and rare pieces from around the world. Waterfront and Pike Place Market were so much fun. And now we went on to see one of the most intriguing newer constructions in the city, these Amazon Spheres, nicknamed Bezos Balls. Amazon was founded in Seattle in 1994, and located in the headquarter campus are these 3 giant spherical conservatories which actually are an Amazon workplace. It surely marks the height of a tech boom in the city while still cherishing the nature. Also visited a Moo bar nearby for our first ever raindrop cake and some fruity bubble tea. It was 5:30 p.m. already and we still tried to make the most of our day by going on the scenic drive to the east of Seattle. And around 30 minutes later, arrived at the beautiful Snoqualmie Falls. A 268-foot wonder on the Snoqualmie River, these crashing waterfalls are a sight to behold. And it's also a major source of naturally generated hydroelectric power for the region. We viewed it from a convenient park area with a platform giving some unobstructed views of the waterfall. It got dark now, we headed for dinner and called it a day. We started our third day in Seattle with a visit to this giant troll under a bridge overpass. Meet Fremont Troll, an 18 feet tall sculpture composed of 6 tons of reinforced concrete. The work is designed to be climbed on, and in 2005, this stretch under the bridge was renamed Troll Avenue in its honor. It was morning time, and in a city full of good coffee, our next stop was the huge Starbucks Reserve Roastery and Tasting Room. In December 2014, Starbucks opened the doors to an all-new coffee experience, just 9 blocks from its original store. This massive, gleaming roastery is at once a coffee shop and theme park-like experience for tasting and observing the roasting and brewing process. It also has a coffee-centric cold brew cocktail bar and multiple food counters with unique menus. And this is the experience bar where you can try some specialty espresso beverages from pour over to clover brew to siphon brewed coffee and learn about the science and theatre behind it. And I was really interested in learning about the pour over method.
Before you start brewing with any paper filter, you're gonna make sure and pre-wet it, because if you don't, you'll pour the water straight onto the filter and you'll have a paper taste in the coffee. That's not very pleasing for a lot of people. So. just gonna pour a little bit of water in there, enough to just cover the grounds with water. So that way all the gases can start releasing and it'll just start blooming out. You can see the bubbling happening. It's releasing all that gas, so it's gonna provide a cleaner cup. Compared to something like this, like a Hario that's swirled, that's gonna make the coffee is gonna drip down in a spiral pattern, so a little bit slower. So this is gonna taste a lot different than this, just because of water flow. So there's a lot of variables with coffee, which is something that's really cool.
It was amazing to try the same coffee with two brewing methods and figuring out the difference. Being a coffee lover and Starbucks fan, this experience from unroasted coffee beans to my cup was ultimate. It got cloudy and soon started raining, so we just chilled indoors for the rest of the day, but went to a beautiful Bavarian village, Leavenworth, the next day. And that will be covered in my next vlog. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe and stay tuned. Bye.